starts from within. There is this voice, there are voices, not just one voice, there are voices within us. And these voices, they're telling stories. So what is the story? What's the story we're telling ourselves about ourselves or about others or about life? That story needs to be kept in check, because at a certain point, it's not really what's happening outside, it's the story that's getting in the way.
When we start to embrace life and allow life to come in and show us what else is possible, it's beyond what we were trying to create or control. And it's usually much bigger, much better and brighter, right? More expansive for us.
Knowing that there is a certain flow of life and that you have to somehow flow with it, and you might try to adjust yourself. And if you feel too much resistance, sometimes it might be better to let go and allow the flow of life to take you in a direction that you weren't expecting or maybe you were afraid of. But allowing life to take you there ultimately turns out to be better for you.
I don't have to do it all. Like, there is a universal force that's supporting me, and what's happening, what I'm doing. All I needed to do is to hold myself in balance, in harmony, and let the universe do its thing. And that's what happened.
Hey Zims, how's it going?
Hey, Nix, I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Yes, you too. We have to stop meeting like this all the time.
I don't know. I think we'll keep going for some time and then we'll see.
Fair, fair.
So you want to introduce our guest today?
Oh, yes, yes, absolutely. I have the pleasure, Nick, of introducing you to a very close friend of mine, Mais Al Hasan. By being who she is, she has shown me what it looks like and feels like to love fiercely, to live fully and unapologetically, and to treat every hurdle or what may seem like a failure or mistake as a stepping stone to greatness. Mais
Amazing.
is originally from Syria, and she has been living in the UAE for the past 25 years. She's a single mom of 4 children and an internationally certified coach in leadership, strength development, and public speaking. She's in the process of writing a book on personal growth and transformation. Mais started her journey of personal transformation nearly 2 decades ago, first promoted by an inner struggle and then propelled by a crisis. Our paths crossed in 2013, 12 years ago, when she sought me out for professional support. Life was calling her towards a path of self-discovery and meaningful change. And I was fortunate enough to be a witness to this transformation and the recipient of her friendship and love. Welcome, Mais.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Welcome. So lovely to meet you.
Same here. Thank you, Zimmy. That was lovely introduction, and nice to meet you here, Nick.
It's lovely to meet you. Welcome to the Epiphany Dialogues. Mace, tell us, what has been an epiphany that's changed your life?
I remember 8 years ago, I went to Zimmy. I know Zimmy for much longer than this, but 8 years ago, there was, I think, the most difficult time of my life. I was separated with the love of my life. We were together for 18 years. And like it happens in divorce, things were difficult, especially with the children, extended family, all our common friends. And I knew that this is the end. It was clear to me. And Zimi said something interesting, a declaration that stayed with me. She said, on my behalf, she was saying, I feel it, I see it, and I'm ready. And then she said, please bring about the events, to allow this to unfold with ease, grace, and love for all of us.
Mhm.
You know, that was a turning point for me, because it was at that moment I realized I I don't have to do it all. Like, there is a universal force that's supporting me, and what's happening, what I'm doing, all I needed to do is to hold myself in balance, in harmony, and let the universe do its thing. And that's what happened. Now,
Amazing.
of course, there was difficult moments, but uh, I can, in hindsight, it just went with the most peaceful, most graceful way possible.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
And tell us more about what that epiphany kind of changed as far as the rest of your life is concerned. Has the effects of that stayed with you?
absolutely. It's not just stayed, it's snowballed.
Hmm.
It's kind it's kind of like, you know, the saying, there is my business, your business, and God's business. So I mind my business. I know that my business is basically to focus my thoughts, to manage my emotions, uh, to be mindful of my words and actions, to align my words and actions with my intentions. And I have never been feeling more vulnerable and more powerful than now, because now I know, like, that I cannot control anything, um, or anyone. The kids taught me this also very well.
Uh-huh.
So I can, all what I can manage is my part and let things happen. Other thing also is that there was the developed that sense of when to do what, when to make things happen, and when to allow things to happen. And of course, I call it Zim's teachings, you know.
Hmm.
I was not aware of that, but thank you.
Yeah. It's very, it goes back to an inner or deep sense of when something is calling me, there is energy, there is like joy, grace, coming towards. And when something just feels heavy and
Hmm.
I feel myself out of alignment, that's when I know it's time to let things happen. Yeah, take a step back.
Can I just ask, Mace? I mean, it sounds like you are really mastering how we are meant to live here, but just for us to know and our, viewers and listeners, I'm sure it was quite a journey, right? I mean, it must have taken time because, when something goes wrong, that's when the need within us to control everything rises up even higher. Like, that's how we feel powerful, because we are in that place of feeling powerless because of something that has happened. And it must take a lot to kind of put that aside, and to trust and listen. And how did that happen? Were there moments where you noticed that there was shifts happening, progressively, or did it kind of just hit you all at once? Tell us a little bit about the progress, really, from then to now.
So it started with our sessions. Before I came to you, I have never tried hypnotherapy or energy healing. And I remember during the sessions, I would feel stuff. I feel energy moving. And it was It was weird. It was weird. Sometimes I think you've noticed it was even overwhelming. Yeah. And this is where I started to notice what's happening in my body more and more. So it was turning that focus inward.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't something that I started on my own. It continued on my own. I do feel the energies now.
Yeah.
I do get signals. I do get the messages. I do get the guidance. And it all started in our early sessions when I started to feel the energy in my body.
It's like a door gets opened, and something you start hearing and feeling something that was always there, maybe, but you had not noticed it before, right?
Not just not noticed it, Nick,
Mm-hmm.
suppressed it, dismissed
Mm-hmm.
it, shut
Mm-hmm.
the door at it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the simplest stuff. That was probably 20 years ago. If I'm driving the car and I get an intuition of going in a certain direction, I would go in the opposite one.
Yeah, I've had similar experiences with Zimmy as well, of feeling those energies and something new opening up that now I cannot ignore anymore because I know it's real, I know it's there, and I've been listening to it a lot more ever since we had our sessions like 15, 16 years ago. Coming back to what you were saying a little bit earlier, knowing that there is a certain flow of life, life goes in a particular direction that you have to somehow flow with it. And from time to time, you might try to adjust yourself in a particular direction that you want to go. And if you feel too much resistance, sometimes it might be better to let go and allow the flow of life to take you in a direction that maybe you weren't expecting or maybe you were afraid of going in that direction. But allowing life to take you there ultimately turns out to be better for you in the long run.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like because we think that we have to be in control and then we have to be the masters of our life, we think of ourselves as almost separate or competing with life. Like, life will throw up stuff and life is a bitch. And, there's so many sayings that people have about life where you are actually showing that you're in competition or conflict and that you keep trying to win. But when we start to embrace life and allow life to come in and show us what else is possible, it's beyond what we were trying to create or control, and it's usually much bigger, much better, and brighter, right? More expansive for us. And that's what I've noticed. Like, whatever my tiny little plans and, little, achievement and goals and things were, they were nothing compared to what has come about by just letting life lead a little bit as well, like to have a dance with life. Like, Mace, you're a dancer. You know what I mean? Sometimes we allow ourselves to be led for something more beautiful to come out, right?
Absolutely. And so there was this time where, not just during our sessions, even during our outings and just get together, I I started to see the higher perspective, not just of life, but people in it. I mean, life, yeah, but come on, people can be much more challenging than life itself.
Indeed.
So I started to be able to zoom out and just see that higher perspective, to see the essence of people, even though if they are showing something that contradicts with their own essence,
Yeah.
I would still hold their essence. And never failed to bring these people back into their essence without me doing anything. It's just holding that vision, that higher perspective of them and who they are really from within, not just an ego stuff, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Obviously, there's probably the vast majority of people that are going through this world, through this life, being completely disconnected from that part of themselves. But then those of us that become a little bit more connected to this energy, to the universe, it becomes quite easy to spot such people around us. And for me, I find it almost amusing at some point to kind of watch the world go by, completely oblivious that there's other things happening on different levels, you know?
Yeah. I remember when I was oblivious. A lot of things changed. How I treat myself changed. How I mother my children changed. My relationship. I have the most beautiful co-parenting relationship with the kid's father today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it went through ups and downs, but now I can say comfortably that this is no nonsense. This is no nonsense to accept where somebody else on their journey
Right.
and to see that it's okay, you know, have the sense of compassion and grace, as Zimmy called it, you know, and accepting blessing. I mean, like I learned something, which is the best way to deflect harm of someone is to say a prayer for them.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And if you're too frustrated and too mad at them and you cannot say a prayer, better not to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm going to take that away for me, for sure,
Yeah.
and say some prayers for a few people after this episode, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Mace, I wanted to ask you, since you are a coach as well and a personal transformation coach, how do you, are there steps that you have formulated to help people to start being more and doing less, let's say?
Yes, actually, so it's from the inside out. The journey starts, it was similar to my journey. And then when I started studying coaching and having some structure to helping and supporting individuals and teams, I realized that the same actually, it's so basic that everyone takes that process and they apply it in their own, in a way that matches their own personality and their own circumstances. It starts from within. There is this voice. There are voices, not just one voice. There are voices within us. And these voices, they're telling stories. So what is the story? What's the story we're telling ourselves about ourselves or about others or about life? That story needs to be kept in check, because at a certain point, it's not really what's happening outside. It's the story that's getting in the way.
That's really important because a lot of times people, like you said earlier, and Nick said as well, people are not even aware that there's a story. They're not even aware that there is an internal belief system that is leading their perceptions of things. So just becoming aware first that there is a story. This is what I'm telling myself. This is causing me to feel this way is huge, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And the story is the thing is we treat that story as the ultimate truth. and it's cannot be further from the truth, because it's just our lens to the world, our lens to what's happening, and our lens is not ours in the first place. It's just the product of an experience and the people whom we observed over the years. So it's not really a clear lens, it's a tinted lens. Yeah.
True. And then what do we do after that? I'm taking notes here.
So once the story is reframed to create forward momentum, to be enlivening, to be conducive for success, then comes what's coming out. Our words, our actions, our behaviors, the attitudes, how we are engaging with the world around us. What does that create? What is the trail that we're leaving behind? So I have empathy as one of my strengths as per Gallup. So it's very important for me what happens after I do something or say something, how people are receiving it. I feel it in the very cells of my body. So having this also in alignment, because it's not only about me, my success and my story and my feelings and my thoughts and my needs. Yeah, that's all amazing. But what about others around? What about others' needs or others' feelings or others' thoughts? What do we do with this? So having that sweet spot whereby both are held as important and both are addressed, I think this can create a shift much faster, because we're never alone. There is always somebody around. That our story includes other people, and I can't imagine when these people are ignored or dismissed, what will happen with us? They're part of our story, they're part of our life.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest problems that the world faces today is that we've become, I feel, at least in many parts of the world, very individualistic. There's a great focus on our needs and our rights and our individuality, and all of that is good, but we need to look at ourselves as a collective, as a community, as a species even, because many of the things that human beings are doing affects people all across the world, whether it's within their family, within their social circle, within their neighborhood, their city or country, or part of this earth that we live in. If you zoom out far enough and you see this little blue dot that's floating around in space, you have to realize that we are all part of this living thing that exists, and we came from it, and we're going to be a part of it again, and so we're a part of each other. And if we don't look after all of us at the same time, along with our own individual needs, you have to have that balance, then things are going to go bad pretty quickly, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. And there is no clash. There is no clash between the individual needs and the collective, let's say, or others' needs. Because if there is a clash, it means the perspective is still in the low levels.
Right.
Hi, everyone. We just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you for being here with us at the Epiphany Dialogues, where curiosity meets consciousness. If you're enjoying this episode, please hit the like button, follow, subscribe, and share with like-minded people.
And you're also welcome to join our conversation. If you have an epiphany to share, please leave us a comment or email us. Details are in the description below. And with that, back to the episode.
But when you zoom out and just see things from a higher perspective, you reach a point whereby you say, okay, what hurts me hurts you and hurts all of us. And what would also be good for me will be good for you. So that can be a bit confusing when you say, okay, what if somebody is, let's say, being nasty or disrespectful? How come if I allow this, if I tolerate it, it means that I suppress my needs, and if I let them be, it means their needs win. But the fact is, this is happening, and this is again, Zims, one of, I still remember that session when there were many epiphanies, actually, not just one. These people, they need to learn a lesson from that experience, from that engagement. And that experience, that lesson is something around setting boundaries. So to allow people to live their experience, because if I tolerate misbehavior,
Right.
it means I'm enabling it even more. So it's not in my own highest good or the highest good of the other person. Though there is a point, I think there is a point whereby if you're seeing from a certain perspective, you will see that what is good is just good for everyone.
And again, it comes down to having this sense of being part of each other as spirits, as entities, and realizing that, if we take the analogy of a human being, one hand cannot hurt the other hand and think that it's one. You cannot use one part of the body to hurt a different part of the body and think that something good has happened. You have to do something which is for the benefit of your whole self as a being. And I think once human beings start to realize that we're part of the same spirit, we're part of the same energy, then it doesn't make sense anymore. Like, you can let the energy do what it needs to do individually, as long as it's not harming each other or itself.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I have personally learned, and I see it through a lot of people around me and clients and friends, that the one of the fastest ways to grow yourself, like on a soul level, a personal growth, is to take part in relationships, not run away from them, because a lot of people do kind of go off and say, okay, I'm going to work on myself, I'm going to heal myself, I'm going to do that in isolation, which I feel is so counterintuitive, because it is through relating that people mirror and show you what you need to heal. It's just faster. You'll take forever if you go and hide, like, or go on top of a mountain and just avoid people, and then you say, yes, I'm healed. I understand there's a lot of higher evolved beings who have attained that evolution through that, and that is wonderful. But I feel that we are tribal, we are social animals, that we have been created, and our biggest learnings come from our relationships. And I feel like if we could just allow ourselves to get hurt, to feel wounded, to be able to speak out and say that was not right, we're healing ourselves, but also the other, like you said, Mace. It's like, it's so much better and faster, and definitely more effective, that we learn and grow through our relationships, and that we keep our hearts open and we allow people to play with our hearts a little bit, to hurt ourselves, to hurt us a little bit at times, just knowing that there is a learning in here, there is a growth in here for me, even if I'm just looking out for myself, but also through that for the other person. I feel like it's a community service as well as a very selfish service, so it works, win-win.
I remember in one session, Zims, you said, this is happening with you because you can handle it. And well, I was like, no, I cannot handle it. I cannot handle it. I took till like, okay, I went back home. I relaxed. Next morning, like, okay, rolled up my sleeves and deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's some of these things that happen to us uh, also teach us a little bit more about what our capacity is to handle certain things, right? If you haven't been through any difficulty in life, then it's very difficult to know if you're able to handle certain things, if you're stronger than what you actually think that you are. So there are lessons that you learn about yourself. Not necessarily that you become stronger, but that you are already strong and you just don't realize it.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Yeah. I have actually a quote from a teacher of mine last year in transactional analysis in the Bern Institute in the UK. Her name is Adrienne Lee. And that module, we were studying about feelings. And then Adrienne shocked all of us by saying the following: I hope that you suffer. That's my wish to all of you. And that you're supported. And that you get to know this territory. And that you are free from any fear of being there.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is quite something, isn't it?
yeah. And I can say that once it's done, once, there is no more fear about being in that place, because it creates this sense of inner power, resilience, even at times invincibility. Doesn't mean that things don't affect us or some unwanted feelings pop up, but we know how to manage it. And I don't think there is something that gives more power.
I think also part of the quote was about, being supported.
Yes.
And, when times are good and everything is fine, the relationships that you have around you feel great and everything is good. But it's only when you are struggling a little bit and you see the relationships that support you continue to be with you and walk with you and stand with you, that bond strengthens a lot more than if it's only good times, right? And that's also very important to experience that and realize some of the sincerity and some of the genuine bonds that you have with people that are around you. So yeah, that's an amazing quote.
What I got from that, like for you, it was the supported thing that stood out for me. I got the fact of like have the courage to surrender to what looks like chaos and let it create something beautiful, you know? Like don't be afraid of chaos. Don't be afraid of breaking because that's how sometimes we reform, right?
Yeah.
So Zims, I think you have a question for Miss, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch back upon the, you know, moving from the head and the control and the thinking. How does one keep listening or honoring their intuition? Like, is it like when something goes right after you've listened to your intuition, it gives you more encouragement or more courage to listen again? What was it for you? I mean, obviously it's a very, you know, subjective kind of question, but I just want to know how it was for you to be able to really start listening and trusting your inner guidance.
This started in a training program, in the first coaching program that I signed up for. And they were teaching us about intuition. The first step was like, where do you feel it in your body? I'm like, what? And it didn't make sense until we went into the activity, and I did actually, like, it was we were divided into pairs, and one person is talking or saying a story, and then notice what's happening in your body when you're listening to the story. And that was actually, I felt stuff, and I haven't noticed before that there is a place where I receive an intuition. And I tuned in to that place. And then I started, whatever came up, I would blurt it out or ask about it, get curious, and the conversation went into beautiful flow. Now, that started to become at a much higher level when I was going through breakthrough moment. And I started to see, like, sometimes dreams. And I started to not just feel it in my body. Sometimes it comes as an image. Like, there is an image. I don't know where. You remember, Zims, once I
Yeah.
said there is an image in my head. I don't know where it's coming from or why. And it doesn't make sense. Now it does. That was like 10 years ago. So there is that it comes in different shapes or forms. It can be like an image. Sometimes it's just a word. Sometimes it's just a feeling in the body. The one thing for sure, we're always getting messages. And these messages are clear. And if we don't hear the message increases in intensity and clarity naturally. But then it saves us a lot of time and energy if we tune into the message early on. I have a story that happened with a friend of mine. Actually, it was very funny. So this lady, she's very logical, very like your yoo-hoo stuff is not mine. Like, fine. So she had separated from a dear person of hers. They decided to end the relationship. She gets in the car. She got all these feelings, like the intuition to, she still feels like this is not over. Like there is something calling her to reconnect. But she said, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do this. It doesn't make sense. That's it. So she gets in the car one day and she decides to delete this person's Bluetooth. It's connected to the car. So she wanted to delete the name, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the system got stuck. She spent a week, she cannot delete that name. It's got stuck.
Wow.
She disconnected the battery. It didn't work. She disconnected the fuses, that lead to it did not work. She did everything. She turned off the car on. And then she went back home. She's like, okay, whatever, just let it be. So what happened is that she goes and she's just chilling and she wants to watch. There is this series, me and her were watching and we talk about it. It's fun. So opens Prime and Prime spits her out.
Wow.
And then she goes back in and then spits her out again. And then she goes back and she said, like, that's it. I'm going to send a message just to check if they're okay, just to clear this. She sent the message before she got a reply. She opened Prime and it was, so and we were laughing like, this is a clear message for you to initiate contact or to check on this person. And thank God she did, because it was important that she did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
So it can get quite intense if you don't listen, huh? There's consequences.
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So Mais, before we end, we ask every guest a question. And the question is that if you had the power to go back in time to a younger version of yourself, any age that comes to mind, what would you tell her today from your place of wisdom?
I would tell her to have faith in herself, to have courage. I would tell her life will go in circles, and before you know it, you will find yourself exactly where you want to be.
Thank you so much, Mais, for being on the Epiphany Dialogues. Stay curious. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you both. It was lovely. And I'm really excited about this podcast.
We are too, for sure.
So are we,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
You
Take care.
too.